she had got ripped away from her, except for like the hardest thing she's going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Plus an extra kid that isn't hers.
Right. And then they gave you an illegitimate kid.
I love that the kid just went by, what was the baby's name?
DJ.
Yeah. I love that it's like, they didn't even really try to hide it. The damn dad's name is the middle name.
I know. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Awesemo.com NBA strategy show presented by No House Advantage. I'm Dave Loughran. On the Twitters at Laffy_D, LOUGHY_D, joined by Josh Engelman at Josh Engelman, here to break down a 3-game slate today. And Josh, after yesterday, the playoffs, at least for the Philadelphia 76ers, is continued.
Yeah, that stinks, right?
That's stupid. It's stupid.
I hate it.
Like if Embiid doesn't get hurt, there's zero chance they lose that game. I mean, they were in it with Tyrese Maxey at the there's no way. But Ben Simmons has got to learn how to shoot free throws. That's terrible.
I mean, I guess 5 of 11, like is that really all that bad?
Yeah, but when you're getting 1 point per possession down the stretch.
Okay, you tell me this. What's worse, Ben Simmons going 5 of 11 from the field and people thinking that the sky is falling, or Russell Westbrook being a hero going 3 for 19 from the field?
Bro, was that the worst?
Oh my God.
Our old pal Emac tweeted at us and was like, who's better, playoff Rondo or playoff Westbrook? And I responded, I was like, well, if Embiid is out and Ben Simmons is in foul trouble, it's definitely Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
And
what are we
still
doing
didn't
here?
play well. Sure, he had a lot of
terrible.
21 boards.
3 for 19 from the field.
I know.
That is abysmal. That's hard to do.
You realize it's not nearly as hard to get those rebounds when Mike Scott is your center to start the second half.
And it should be a lot easier to go better than 3 for 19 when Joel Embiid isn't on the floor.
Or Simmons. Dude, Simmons was in foul trouble all game.
Yeah, I don't want that series to go on any further. And now it's going on in like the worst way possible.
I'll tell you though, people got upset about the fan on the floor. Listen.
I liked watching them get tackled.
But did you see the one angle where the camera's slowly panning right and his body just slides onto the court? Bro, that was the funniest thing ever. Hey, yeah, I get it. The guy's a jerk off, and I don't know. It looked like he was trying to dunk. I don't know if you saw the other angle.
I think he slapped the backboard.
Yeah, like he wasn't coming for the play. Was it stupid? Yeah, it was totally dumb. But he wasn't coming for the players. He had to have been drunk. He had to. I'm assuming there was something a little bit more than just your alcohol intoxicant. If I had to guess, fella's got a cocktail going on there and decided he's got some balls today. But that camera angle of him sliding, and you don't see anything, right? You just see nothing, just court, and then a body shoot forward. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, from the other angle, it looked like he went and tried to slap the backboard. And at that point in time, it was game over for him. But like, you can't, if you're out, like if you get to the court, they're not taking any chances. They're going to light your ass up. Otherwise, you're going to end up being, you'll be the Monica Seles guy and you're burying a tiny blade into somebody's back.
Credit to the security guard. He took him down quick.
Oh, it's got to be so satisfying to finally have something to deal with other than just like rushing off some drunk guy or something. You're like, right? Oh, I get to put my hands on somebody. Like, oh my God, he was probably jacked to the gills after that.
Oh, that job would suck too, because it's like, yeah, I'm front right at courtside every game, but I have to stand the opposite direction for 60 minutes. Yeah. Or not for 48 minutes.
It's got to be so satisfying to be able to just light that dude up.
It wouldn't have been hard though, because the guy didn't even try. But then he started trying to evade him once he tried to evade that tackle once he was on the ground. Yeah. I don't know. All I know is this much. The Sixers, if Joel Embiid is healthy for game 5, 100% capacity at Wells Fargo Center, like they should be huge favorites.
Done. Game over. Yeah, if he's fine, it's over. Yeah, the Wizards have no chance in this series if Joel Embiid is healthy.
Yeah. All I know is when I look at that game, it sucks that there's a continuation on the series. I really thought Joel Embiid was coming back. I really expected him to come back. The fact that it was, like a 4-point game with a minute or so left just goes to show you that they're heavily outmatched. But also, if you're fouling Ben Simmons away from the ball, you're right. 5'11" isn't 2 for 11. I get what you're saying. I understand that. but it does hurt you because Tyrese Maxey prior to that was knocking down every shot he took. He was blocking shots, and then you took him off the floor, similar to what you and I were talking about with Thibault. Totally different style of player from Maxey, but Doc Rivers couldn't afford to put Maxey and Simmons on the court at the same time.
I know that's where it does get a little tricky. I mean, I think it's a lot worse right now for Luka on the free throw line than it is for Ben Simmons.
Yeah, Luka's struggled. Yeah, but he's hurt, dude. He's hurt. Like,
dude, he's 13 of 32 from the free throw line.
I know, but he's hurt too. He is hurt.
Sure.
Like, there's no doubt Luka's hurt. But yeah, the free throw shooting for him has been dreadful. And now you've got Anthony Davis tonight. Apparently early he was doubtful, and then now he's questionable. But I can tell you right now, if you take any, if you see anything of importance in Vegas lines, Anthony Davis is not expected to play. They're 5-point dogs today against the Suns.
Yeah, I don't really foresee Anthony Davis stepping on the floor today, which is pretty scary here.
What would you put him at if the Lakers were expecting it, or if Anthony Davis wasn't hurt? Not +5.
I don't know. What was the line in game one?
I think the Lakers were actually small favorites.
Whatever some sort of average of whatever the line was in game 1 and 2.
Yeah. Well, two's tough because they didn't know how to price it with Chris Paul injury in games 2 and 3, it seemed like.
All right. So game 1 was Phoenix -2.5.
Oh, Phoenix was favored in game 1?
And then game 2 was the opposite of that.
In Phoenix still. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But I think that had to do with Chris Paul's injury.
Yeah. Well. So, I would close to a pick 'em, Lakers -1, something like that.
Yeah. Makes sense. Anyway, we got 3 games.
I guess you get KCP too, questionable. I'm not trying to claim like KCP is some like line mover or anything like that, but that's 2 guys that would normally play 70 minutes in this game. That's a lot.
Right. Alan Alexander with the super chat says, thanks guys. You hooked me up Friday. Second in the FanDuel $1 single entry for 200. You guys rock. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate that. And
solid ROI.
You're the one putting the lineups in.
Yeah.
For sure. But I'm happy to be of any assistance and hopefully provide some entertainment along the way. Mike says, I'm sure LaFlop has a great ATS against the spread record as a playoff dog. Man, people just hate LeBron. I'll be honest.
It's so dumb.
Off the floor, I am not a LeBron fan. I'm really not. I can tell you that straight up. I'm not at all.
Weird.
You probably already knew that though. However, on the floor, it's very tough for me to say bad things about him. I try and stay objective. Does he flop like a? Yeah, he does. But if you knew you were going to get I guess
everybody does. Everybody does.
Yeah, I guess integrity's at play here. But if you knew you were going to get the calls, you'd probably flop too. But on the floor, it's tough for me to say many negative things about LeBron James. And when he carries them, or if he carries them to a victory tonight, you're gonna be like, yeah, well, it's kind of just what he does.
Yeah, I mean, how much longer does he have to just drag team after team after team to the championship round? At least I know people are gonna be like, well, but when he gets there, they lose. It's like, yeah, okay, well, what are we doing here? He never fails in these scenarios ever.
It's very, very, very seldom does LeBron come out flat in a game like this where they're expected to lose.
I mean, it hasn't happened since it hasn't happened in over a decade where he's in the playoffs and this didn't go well.
I'm with you. You ready to dive into this?
I am.
Hit that thumbs up, everybody. I know it's late in the season. It's the playoffs. It's easy to forget on a Tuesday, but that should be the first thing we do when we jump in here. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Really, that's the biggest thing. I mean, the thumbs up are nice to see on the surface, but if you subscribe to the channel, not only does it help you, but it does help us a lot to continue putting out free content, building the product, getting great producers and good hosts and analysts, and continuing to make this the best free DFS platform out there on YouTube. And we're happy to have all of you a part of it because guess what? Without you, we are nothing here. So there is that. Let's go Boston and Brooklyn. But before we do, Josh, I think it's only right that I shout out No House Advantage. Perfect time to jump in this morning. If you haven't done so yet, use the promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO, to get $20 on your first deposit when you sign up. Download the app, do it online, whatever you want to do. On your desktop, laptop, doesn't matter. It's a peer-to-peer player prop platform. Very cool format. It's the same tournament style as you would play anywhere else, but in this case, there's no salaries. It's strictly player props. So the props that you like the most go at the top, earn you the most points, the ones that you're not comfortable with, or maybe you are, but you don't like them. You're not as confident in them. Maybe the odds aren't as much in your favor there. There isn't as much of an edge. They go at the bottom. You accrue points that way. Tournament style, guaranteed, GPP style format, prize, real cash prizes, just as you would at any other site. But the best part isn't the promo, which is still pretty cool. The best part is the fact that we have all of the free tools for No House Advantage that we built specifically for No House Advantage, totally for free every day of the week, 365 days of the year over at Awesemo.com. The player prop No House Advantage tool, the optimal lineups tool, where you're taking our projected props, comparing them to what they have there. And the lines are static. They don't change throughout the day. So no money, no amount of action, no amount of bets is going to swing a line in any direction. You're not going to hit it early and then get in and be like, oh shit, I missed out on that because it went from minus 115 to minus 180 or minus 150, or the line moved, the prop moved itself. None of that here at No House Advantage. Take advantage of that specifically. Find the edge there. Look for stale lines, bet them, put them in your lineups, use the player prop tool, the optimal lineups tool, and of course the promo code Awesemo to get your $20 free when you sign up and deposit for the first time. Let's make this happen, fella.
Yeah. 2010. That is the last time that LeBron James has made the playoffs and not also made the finals.
Made the playoffs. And okay, little caveat there, but okay. When's the last time? Hasn't he? Well, he missed the playoffs 2 years ago in his first year with the Lakers. They dealt with a lot of injuries. That's it.
Every other time since 2010, he's been in the finals.
That's scary.
And people are like, oh, this guy's such a jerk off on the court. And it's like, what do you want him to do? He does the literal best thing you could do every single year.
God, that's insane to think about. I guess that's what happens when you play in a
Think about where everything was in 2010. We didn't even have DFS.
No, we didn't. We didn't know. I guess that's what happens when you play in a weak Eastern Conference, though, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm just kidding.
Like that's truly bonkers to me. I mean, I guess like who has he lost to in that time? So the Dallas finals in 11, San Antonio in 14, and then Golden State a couple of times.
Yeah, the Dallas one is where he got a ton of criticism for that one game. You remember that game where it just looked like he was legitimately throwing it?
He's 39-10 in 50 or 49 playoff series so far.
That's pretty solid. Pretty solid. It's also scary to think that I went back and looked at my FanDuel, my oldest FanDuel entries. Yeah. And there was stuff in there from like 2012.
I think you predate me then.
It 2012, 2000. It was a while ago. And I remember looking at that recently. Maybe it was 2013. I've been with Justine it was 2012 because I've been with her for almost 9 years now. And I started playing DFS right before that. What a scary thought. Like, it's a cool thought, but man, time goes very, very fast to think that this has been around for that long. Am I going to be 50 years old?
2013 is what I've got.
Okay. Am I 50 years old being like, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Awesemo.com. I hope I am.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully.
No doubt about it, man. I'll take that every single day of the week.
I'm looking at it now. I want to see what I was playing in 2013. I can't imagine it was anything good.
I was crushing.
I played $456 worth of contests in 2013. Yeah, that's less than a day's work today. Now I profited. Oh, I was down $19.
Wow, that's crazy. I remember,
and the thing that I was profitable in was the NFL.
Really? See, that was the one that I wasn't profitable in, but I knew the best. I put $40 in. It was in August, but football hadn't started yet, but they were promoting it on the radio, right? Put $40 in, lose it almost immediately. And then I put another $40 in, lose it almost immediately. Then I put another 40 and I win an MLB contest for like 10 grand with the San Diego Padres stack. And then I go into basketball, right? And I win another tournament. And then I won, and then I tied for first in a live final queue with Head Chopper. And I still at the time, like was I winning? Sure. Was a decent amount of it luck. Yeah, but I was into it, but you know how it is back then. Yeah. I tie with him, and then I lost in the tiebreaker. But that was all in the span of like 3 or 4 months. Back when DFS was the Wild West. I mean,
it was
the absolute Wild West, and you didn't need projections. Like you really didn't at the time. Not many. I'm sure some people were using.
If you had them, you were a savant.
Yep. In 2012, I knew nothing about him though. I really didn't. Like I'm sure you did when you first started playing, because you're pretty good when it comes to all of that stuff. But I didn't. I just researched the hell out of everything, and back then that actually meant something.
My problem was so analytically I was there, but the lineup construction piece was my biggest issue. So I would make baseball projections, or I started working on my NBA model in 2014. But for baseball in particular, there was no logic of stacking to me at the time. That bulb never went off in my head. Right. So I was just running a lineup like, oh, this guy's projected awesome. This guy's projected awesome. This guy's projected awesome. Yeah. And there's no correlation in your lineup at all. And I took beatings in baseball to start. Same story for football. I'll find screenshots of old lineups. I believe Draft Street, you were able to play 2 quarterbacks. And I wasn't bringing a wide receiver back in any of those lineups. It was just
no, of course not.
Nothing. There was no correlation in those lineups.
And I don't know if you remember this, excuse me. But on FanDuel back then, you could stack 6 players from the same baseball team.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you could run a 6-bat stack. So that's what I would do.
I would do the opposite. I would run a 0 stack. I would just be like, oh, I could get all the best dudes today. Man, building these lineups is cake.
Yeah, 0.
And then I'd be sitting at my desk at work like, fuck, motherfucker, 0 for 4 again.
You know what it was, though? I was getting crushed at first. So then I started looking at the winning lineups, and they all had everyone from the same team. And at first I go, that doesn't make any sense. Like, because initially in your head, you're thinking, like, well, if they're all on the same team, they can't all do well. And then you realize, well, they kind of can.
Yeah, they can. I played $1 head-to-head against Alex on November 9th, 2014.
Really?
Yeah, I beat him too. So suck it, boss.
When I first started playing, Candia was the GOAT. Like
I tried to play him every day.
Clear number 1, but just made some of the wildest lineups. All right,
I would take a $1 head-to-head from him every single day, just so I could immediately get to whatever his lineup was.
Yeah. And then it was him and then the other guy that ran similar lineups together. I always forget his name.
Lucor.
Yeah, one Lucor. Yeah, you're right. All right, let's do this. First, Ryan Slaughterback says, thanks, guys. Took down the $4 4-point play on DraftKings, won $2,500 last night. Damn, another 4-point play winner. Just changed to the Awesemo avatar. Hope it's not too late. Well, it has to be when you win, because no one's retroactively going back and looking at that. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
congratulations. That's awesome, man. Appreciate all of the support. All right, man, we've gone long enough. Let's do it. Boston Celtics, 13-point dogs today, 232.5 total. Not expected to have Kemba Walker or Robert Williams. That means that Jayson Tatum walks into this game 5. I wanted to call it a showdown, Josh, but it's not a showdown at all. It's a slaughter. You know, they're just leading them to the slaughter.
I'm not even sure you could call it a showdown if you actually play the showdown.
Yeah, no, not at all. It should be a wire-to-wire win for Brooklyn. But Jayson Tatum, 2 huge games now, huge minutes. Listen, 13-point dogs in the postseason isn't great at all, but Jayson Tatum is going to play huge minutes regardless. This is it. This is it. When you and I look at this game, it's different than Brad. I say this all the time. It's different than Brad Stevens and Jayson Tatum looking at this game. For them, this means everything, you know?
Yeah.
So Jayson Tatum at this price point, it's just so hard to get away from that, particularly against the Brooklyn defense that is not stellar by any stretch.
Yeah, I've been getting to Boston over and over and over again. Today is going to be no different. Jayson Tatum is certainly a heavy part of that. But once again, I feel like the parts around Jayson Tatum are going most underowned. For some strange reason, Evan Fournier is 5,500 on FanDuel. We have him projected for 29% ownership. I've got him at 44%. Same story for Marcus Smart once again. To me, going wildly underowned. I think Marcus Smart is the guy that's going to be looking for his shot second most on this team. And for some reason, only 20% of the people want to play him today. So load up on Marcus Smart. load up on Evan Fournier, and then load up on the guy that I think is the actual best value play today on DraftKings, Peyton Pritchard. Yeah, that's not fun to say out loud.
I get it, though. I mean, you go ahead and elaborate on this, but it makes sense on a 3-game playoff slate with no Kemba Walker.
So he's 3,200 on DraftKings. He played 23.7 minutes in game 3, but I expect him to be playing north of 20 minutes just by default with no Kemba now. I gave him those same 23 minutes. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he could play a couple additional minutes to that, but I think 20 is probably somewhere around the floor. He's not a highly productive guy. He's like a 0.8 fantasy point per minute guy when he's out on the floor, but he's 3,200. And if you need to pay down today to get Jayson Tatum, to get Nikola Jokic, Damian Lillard, LeBron James, any one of these 3 guys from Brooklyn, you're going to need to pay down somewhere. To me, Pritchard looks like a decent option now that they're missing 2 of their 3 biggest usage guys that are normally on the floor.
Not going to lie, it is strange to see only one Celtic in the top 11 of projected ownership right now.
I'll tell you what, it's not just one in the top 11 of everything that I have.
I'm looking at the rest of this team though, and there's got to be some value when you've got no Kemba Walker. Well, sorry, Kemba Walker not expected to play. Yeah. Neither is Robert Williams.
They are both officially listed doubtful on the injury report.
Correct. So Tristan Thompson getting negligible ownership right now.
Yeah.
Is that right to you given his price point, or could we expect, if this game stays competitive, for Tristan Thompson actually to play significant minutes?
I think it could go either direction. They could either go to heavy Tristan Thompson minutes if that appears to be working, where he ends up playing 32 minutes and we all look foolish for not having him.
Williams only played 6 and Thompson only played 22 last game.
Right. And that's where it starts to get 2 games ago, you mean? So Grant Williams ended up playing 21 minutes this past game. Tristan Thompson only played 22.
Right.
And that's
2
where it
games
starts
ago when Williams was active and got hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's possible that they could try to go a little bit smaller. They've got Jabari who could fall into some minutes. Jabari is the flat minimum on DK today, which the last thing you're trying to do is roster Jabari Parker, hoping that he scores enough points at the flat minimum in an elimination game in the playoffs. Like, all of those things just sound incredibly unappealing, but at the very least you have to be paying attention to it because he could fall into more, like, he's the guy they're going to go to if they're behind because they need to score.
So we have one game where we've seen kind of what Brad Stevens can do in the event that Kemba Walker and Robert Williams, again, both of them doubtful, do not play. But how confident are you that we get similar rotations to what we've seen in game 4?
So obviously, like, the Tatum minute, assuming a competitive game, obviously, yeah. Tatum, Smart, Fournier, to me, are just playing monster minutes. I don't really see, like, it's not going to be a Carson Edwards day today, unless that's coming in blowout time.
Yeah, I can't imagine it is. And I know Tatum played, 40 minutes last game?
Yeah.
But Josh, they were down by 28 in the third quarter. That was never competitive.
No, not at all. He's going to be out there until it's truly done.
Yep.
Romeo Langford's played 26 and 27 minutes over the past 2 games. To me, that seems like where you would expect to see him for this one. I think the biggest swings for minutes would be Tristan Thompson, Grant Williams, and Jabari Parker.
Okay. Yeah, the Jabari Parker one is pretty significant here. You're getting him at the bare minimum. If he plays at least semi-productive minutes, he's going to be probably in the optimal if you get 22 minutes from Jabari. Yeah. You would think so at that price point.
He almost the thing about Jabari is if Jabari Parker has to play, like, let's say you know for a fact Jabari Parker plays 18 minutes today. You should probably have him in everything, because if he's playing 18 minutes, he's probably also doing something well, because they're not playing. If he's not scoring, you're not playing Jabari Parker 18 minutes. He's only got one job when he's out there. It's certainly not defensive. So if he's getting those minutes, rest assured he's doing something on the offensive end.
Anything else for Boston?
Just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody here. Look, there's a lot of value here. $3,300 Romeo Langford, $3K Grant Williams, $3K Jabari Parker, $3,100 Aaron Nesmith. You can find a lot of potential paydown options here on Boston. Trying to find someone that could toe the line between playing in regulation and playing if it's a blowout in the fourth quarter could be interesting. Is that, like, to me, Nesmith fits that bill quite a bit. A guy that could play some regular rotations and then close the fourth quarter if they're down by 30. I think Grant Williams could also sort of fit that bill, although they'll probably dust off like Taco or something stupid for it. But I like the pay down options for Boston. I just don't have any confidence in who that one guy is.
You know, you and I have talked a lot this season about when all three of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden are on the floor, the James Harden's usage is essentially non-existent, right?
Yeah.
But man, this guy is so good, and he always finds ways to get it done. And we've seen that over the last we've seen it over the last two games. He is 1 point. Here's the crazy part, right? In this series, okay, Kevin Durant's averaging 1.53 DraftKings points per minute.
Nope.
Harden's at 1.59 still. Like, that's still a remarkable number for someone playing alongside those guys. Now, Kevin Durant's usage is 34%. Harden's is still up to 27. It's actually Irving that ranks third in that category. But once you factor in assist rate, where you've got James Harden at 45%, and nobody, you ready for this? Nobody else on the team is above 13%.
He's doing it all, man.
Yeah, not one player on the team is above 13%. That's Kevin Durant coming in second. So it's, to me, there's just a lot to talk about here. And I understand that there are three really good players on the same team. Harden also has an 11% rebound rate, but he's been spectacular.
The problem really lies in the fact of how efficient these guys are being too. Kevin Durant shooting 45.5% from three in this series, 69.5% true shooting. Harden, 45.5% from three, 75% true shooting. Like,
Hawks have a 128 defensive rating.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Like, Kyrie's having a bad shooting series. He's shooting 38% from three, and he's still over 60% true shooting. Like, these guys are so efficient that you can't keep up. And then you lose out on the volume of a competitive game. That's where it becomes a little bit problematic. I feel the same way about Brooklyn that I have for every other game. I don't know how you pick one of these guys out of the whole bunch, and all of the other pay up options that exist on the slate just naturally look better because they don't have the same sort of competition on their own team.
The only thing to say about them is, outside of those three, there's nobody, but that kind of doesn't matter because there's, three massive, just not even usage players, not all of them, but in the sense they are, it's just not together. I still think Harden, his ability to rack up massive counting stats in any game. I agree that the efficiency has been concerning, but Harden gets to the line at a high clip. He has a 45% assist rate in this series. He can rack up some stocks. He's still an above average, by far, rebounder at the guard position. Like, if Harden goes for 25 real points, you're almost always getting 60 plus from him.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. It's hard for him to not do that because his peripherals are so high. It's the same sort of story as Russ, only Harden is like the ultra efficient version of it, where the assists and rebounds are coming no matter what. If the scoring is there, look out. But the scoring is more often than not there for Harden.
Right.
As opposed to Russ.
James Harden also had played 40 minutes in that blowout. So yeah. I wouldn't, the only game that he hasn't played 36 plus minutes was against Boston, game 2, where they just annihilated them. At no point was it at all competitive. But yeah, last game they had a 28-point lead and he played 40 minutes. So I still have some interest in James Harden here today, just because I still even think the floor on Harden is much higher than pretty much anyone else, even playing alongside Durant and Irving. But I'll give you the final say on Brooklyn. Anything else on the trio here and any other peripheral options that we might not have talked about?
No, I don't want it to seem like I think that rostering Nets are, but like it's impossible to do so, because that's not what the case is. But they just naturally have to be lower than most of these other pay up options. Like, Harden in the optimal lineup about 20%? Sure. Is he owned 25%? Yes. So, I'm probably going to end up a little bit lower there. Same sort of story for Durant, 18%. I think it's lower. Kyrie, 25% ownership. I just think it should be a little bit lower. Bruce Brown for 3,500 is probably the guy that I'd have like the most sort of interest in. He's 3,500 projected for 22 minutes, at least on my end. I got him at 17 fantasy points. That's actually a little bit lighter than where Alex has him right now. Bruce Brown is probably the guy that I want to get to from Brooklyn the most. But to me, all of these guys just end up looking so similar relative to salary. It's tricky.
Carlos Manzo says, is it me or is Josh developing some traps? Have you been working the traps?
I've been working everything, brother.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Flex them traps.
I don't even know how to do that.
Do you know where they are?
That's this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it can only be so many things if he sees it. It's clearly not like my quads or something like that.
That's a very good point. I mean, process of elimination gave you like a 1 in 3 chance of getting that right. Portland, Denver.
Yeah, sure.
All right. It's been a fun series too. These teams are way evenly matched as well. I mean, way evenly matched.
Yeah.
And we've talked about them a bunch already going into game 5 here, knotted up at 2. If you want to listen to us talk about basketball, baseball, MMA, PGA, whatever it is, but you can't do it on YouTube, maybe you just don't want to, everything's available in podcast form. Go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever your preferred platform is. Just search Awesemo, AWESEMO. And when you do it, say you leave a comment, a rating and a review, preferably a positive one. That'd be nice. Leave your email or your Twitter handle. Every single Friday, we pick an Awesemo Plus Platinum subscriber for free. So you get a free subscription to Awesemo Plus Platinum, every single thing on the site, simply for coming over and showing us some love and some support. But be sure to enter either your Twitter handle or your email so we can get in touch with you. I almost said Gmail because who uses anything else anymore?
If somebody sends me an email from Yahoo, I'm like, who are you?
Oh, yeah. Now, I still have a Yahoo account, and here's why. Like, if I sign up for a fantasy site or, one of these whatever ones, or I sign up for something where I need to put my email in, I don't want to flood my Gmail box. So most stuff that ends up never being read goes to my Yahoo. So it's still open.
Okay. I mean, I have it obviously because I have a Yahoo account, but it's not anything that I use. Gmail or bust.
It's just all I do is delete emails. Now I have another Gmail account strictly for crypto accounts and stuff like that. I like to keep things separated,
I don't. Everything in the same bucket.
All right. Well, is Damian Lillard in the same bucket as any? Oh my God, that was good. Any of these top tier options today, Josh? Like Kevin Durant, like Nikola Jokic, like James Harden, Jayson Tatum. The crazy thing before I turn this over to you is Dame Lillard and the Nuggets, or God, I can't speak today, and the Portland Trailblazers blew out the Denver Nuggets last game. At no point was that game in reach, and he scored 10 points on 1 for 10 shooting.
It's craziness. You would expect the exact opposite outcome.
Exactly. If you told me, man, they smoked Denver, I'd say, okay, so what? Dame went for 40?
Yeah.
No, it was Norman Powell.
Terrible. Yep, it was. He's expensive, though, today.
Yeah.
Norman Powell, that is. Not so much Dame. I love this game. This is my favorite game on the slate. I'm massively over the field on both sides of this game. I won it all. Covington on both sites, 5,300 on FanDuel, 4,800 on DK, playing 36 minutes or more potentially, not getting nearly as much love as I think he should be. CJ and Dame are both guys that I think you should have in the 30s on FanDuel, probably in the high 20s to low 30s on DraftKings. All of those ownership numbers are coming in behind that. I think Nurkic is properly owned on both FanDuel and DK, 7,500 and 7,100. But those 4 guys are not picking up nearly enough ownership in the aggregate. This total in this game is not all that far behind Boston and Brooklyn. The game should be competitive, and Lakers Suns is a place where like fantasy points go to die. So to me, Portland Denver stands out the most today.
Yeah, I think you're right too. Jordan, how'd you sleep last night? Yeah, I can tell. The only thing you need now is a spider crack in one of your glasses lens. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let me know what I can do to help. So I get it, man. My sleep has been disturbed for sure. Finally coming back. Can you believe this? My daughter's 3 months old in 2 days. She's sleeping like 9+ hours a night. It's wonderful. Wonderful, man. Like I can actually sleep. But you know how I used to like to sleep in. I've almost adopted your schedule. I'm sleeping from like 11 at night, which is a strange adjustment. I gotta tell you, because I was like a 1 a.m. type dude. I'd stay up, finish every West Coast game, research crypto, whatever it was. I liked my alone time. No such thing as that shit anymore. So it's like 11 to 6:30, Josh. It feels good once you're up.
Man, 6:30. Don't be afraid to tune into the process live, 6:30 a.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday, if you want, man. You're there. You're awake. Come hang out.
The Contenders videos coming out almost immediately after this show. So we got you covered all day long.
They're already out.
Oh, they're already. Oh, look at you. Okay. All right. Our editor's putting in some good work. We got the PGA strategy show. MLB strategy show comes up at 11 Eastern. Then you got the tip off, the NBA Deeper Dive, NBA Live Before Lock, all of that right here on the Awesemo YouTubes today. Who was your favorite player from Portland?
It's Covington on both sites.
Okay. Any interest in the Bosnian Beast, or is he just too expensive?
Yeah, he looks good. On FanDuel, we have him projected for 24% ownership. That's exactly where I have him. On DraftKings, we have him projected for 28% ownership. That's exactly where I have him. To me, he's super properly owned. You should probably have him in close to a third of the things that you do today.
Anything else on Portland?
I mean, I'd love to get to a little bit of Norm Powell, but he's $7K on FanDuel. 5,600 on DraftKings is way more in play, only picking up 16% ownership as well. So I think it's kind of easy to get to Powell on DraftKings. On FanDuel, they've kind of priced him out of logic and reason. I don't really want to take a shot on Melo or Anthony Simons. Cantor is now not, or apparently not, a part of the rotation any longer. They went to Rondé Hollis-Jefferson in game 4. I assume Cantor's not coming back out there at this point unless they probably need points. So he would be the Jabari Parker of this team, I guess. But he's also 3,300. You would need a Nurkic injury for Cantor to pay off.
You're going to disagree with me on this, I know for a fact. But I've actually enjoyed watching Carmelo Anthony find success in this postseason. Now, coming full circle, the first show you and I ever did together.
It was not a basketball show.
No, we spent like 50 minutes talking about Carmelo Anthony. I'm sure Tom was watching that like, oh, dude, what have we done?
I never should have hired these fan vice guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I've enjoyed it. I've had fun. He's having fun out there, and I enjoy watching him have fun and knock down tough shots. Well, kind of open threes, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't.
I already knew you disagree with me.
It's not that I disagree. It's not that I don't think that like him succeeding is fun, but I just don't care.
Damian Lillard has been a 1.4 fantasy point per minute guy in this series, and I think it's easy to forget that he's still been productive. He still has a 31% usage rate, which leads the team by a wide margin. CJ McCollum is second at 24%. Norman Powell's at 19%. Yusuf Nurkic is at 18%. But how hard or how easy, and I know you've touched on this a little bit, but it's kind of important, is it to get to Lillard today among the rest of the high-priced guys? And can you play like Lillard Tatum or Lillard Harden and make that work easily?
Yeah, I think you can. I think there's enough pay down options where you could conceivably get to two of those guys. And I do like getting to Dame. I have him currently. I prefer Dame to LeBron by a slight, like, we're talking just better than a coin flip, 55-45 type stuff. But I prefer Dame there. I prefer Dame to all three guys from Brooklyn. I just think this is a very good matchup, very good series for him. The fact that this game should be competitive helps. I'm a big fan of Dame. To me, he's, of the 9K plus guys, he's third for me behind Tatum and Jokic.
Okay. Jana says, I enjoy, or Jana, whichever one. I apologize for the wrong one and celebrate myself for the correct one. Says, I enjoy the chemistry you have. My favorite Awesemo duo. Wow. That was very nice. Thank you. And then says, I'm debating going from Team Roto to Team Awesemo. Well, Josh, I don't think it's a debate at all.
No, not so much. I don't know which Roto that is, but I definitely know that we're better than either one of them.
It is a family here, and we appreciate all of you guys. I humbly ask you to help us get to 150 likes on this show as well. But when you talk about the family, joining the family, coming to Team Awesemo, hit that join button down below. If you see all the people with the badges, Jana, dude, these allergies are destroying my face. It's just awful. You see the badges, the different color ones, and the certain emojis that you could use, all of that great stuff right there in the join button. Listen, I say it all the time. It makes no difference to me if you want to or not, but it is a family feel. It's a team feel when you have all of those in there, and they just keep building Josh, and you see the Josh mustache emoji used by Jordan right there. It's a good time, man. It is a good time doing this every morning.
We are like a family here, just like the McMenamin family.
I could take that down a road that we don't want to go to at all.
I mean, it's definitely a road we want to go to. It's a road that we cannot go to.
For anyone that's wondering where that reference comes from, that's a solid pull. Just the fact, not that it's like an old pull, but the fact that you remembered the last name. Because you couldn't even remember the name Lori or DJ earlier, but you remember McMenamin.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's good stuff. Mayor of Easttown on HBO is the reference. It's actually really good, and you'd enjoy it. But no, we are not that family. I'm hoping we have nothing to do with that family. God, to think that takes place like 30 minutes from where I live.
Oh, like every wide shot is like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I've ever known my entire life. 27 houses connected together, rusty fences and stuff backed up against another row of it all. That's all I've ever known.
This is putting it lightly, but that's a tight-knit group of people around there.
Yes, it is, in more ways than one. Like the Lannisters.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a bunch of Tyrions running around. Denver Nuggets. What are you doing with Nikola Jokic? Too far?
I'm working on it, man. Okay.
Jana's like, I'm sticking at Roto Grinders.
Yeah, never mind. I'm going back to FanVice. Nikola Jokic looks great today. 10-5 on FanDuel, 10-4 on DraftKings. To me, he's the preferred pay-up option. Look, it's 2-2. Denver's at home. He is very clearly the best option going in Denver. I don't think there's much debate there. I don't really have much else to say. If I'm paying up for anyone today, it's Nikola Jokic. So far during this series, 37.7% usage rate. Now, the assists have gone by the wayside. I think a lot of that has to do with just simply the other people that could shoot. It's just better if Nikola Jokic takes more shots, because it's not like he had a 37.7% usage rate during the regular season. That's why he had a higher assist rate. So you are losing out on some of the assists. The raw point ceiling, though, significantly higher now for Jokic. So to me, he is the best option you can pay up for. But I think the entire team is going massively underowned. Hasn't been a great series for Michael Porter Jr. He should be in everything you do. Aaron Gordon, 5K on FanDuel. We have him projected for 27% ownership. I think that should be more like 47. Play Aaron Gordon a ton. Rivers, Campazzo, Monty Morris. I want all of these guys today.
Yeah, you're on the Facundo Campazzo train?
More so on FanDuel than I am on DK. On DK, where he's 5,900, I don't love it. But at 6,200, where you have to roster two guards, to me, it's a little bit more plausible, especially where he's only at 14.5% ownership. That works for me.
Yeah. The only thing to hit on here before we move on to the final game is the JaMychal Green ownership right now is significant, at least given what we expect from JaMychal Green. Yeah. He's pulling like 15% right now. I've said this a million times on this show, and you've generally agreed with me. I prefer JaMychal Green off the bench over a starter any day of the week. I mean, you put him alongside Jokic, and specifically Jokic, but Porter Jr. and a bunch of actual good players, and his value just falls through the floor. At least if you're getting 21 minutes off the bench, I can see an avenue to where he gets where he needs to go. But dude, it's so tough to place much faith in a guy like JaMychal Green.
Yeah, and we have a lot of these guys, these like low to mid 3K guys that are the bench guys that are going to play 16 to 21 minutes.
Yeah.
I just don't want the guy that's already the chalk version of that.
Exactly.
I think it's super easy to just go a different direction. Like, instead of going to that heavily owned JaMychal Green, take a shot at Grant Williams at the flat 3K at lesser ownership. Like, that's just one of like 6 more dudes that we can name in that scenario.
Yeah. What about Millsap even?
Yeah.
Like Millsap could get the exact same minutes or more than JaMychal Green here. And we forget about Millsap because he used to be a great player. And now look, he's in the twilight of his career. He's a +1 per minute player this year.
Yeah. Yeah. No one would be surprised if they took the minutes from game 4 and Millsap got 21 and JaMychal Green got 14.
Yep.
That would not you would never even look at that. It would never even catch your eye. If
not at all. And, look at Millsap's totals this series, right? 15 minutes, 14 fantasy points. So not great, obviously, but right around the fantasy point per minute. 15 minutes, 30 fantasy points, DraftKings points. 12 and 7, not great. And then 14 and 22. So he has now had 2 games with massive per minute production in 4 games.
1.33 fantasy points per minute so far during this series. That's the second best rate behind Jokic if we throw out JaVale McGee's 7 minutes.
Crazy. And obviously you don't expect him to play a lot of minutes, but the point here is if Millsap, say there's foul trouble or Millsap's just playing fantastic and he's helping the team. If he plays 20 minutes at almost minimum salary, that is one of those ways that you can be different on a slate like this. And if you're getting an 8% player at that price point on a 3-game slate, it can make all the difference, or he could suck. But if you get 18 to 20 from Millsap, it's not killing you either.
No, not at all. Look, it could be as easy as this. JaMychal Green rolls his ankle on the first possession he steps on the floor. Like it doesn't have to take a lot. Little things are magnified in the playoffs and in 3-game slates. Whereas, I don't know what Mike Scott ended up with last night, and it's not really the point. But Joel Embiid leaves the game early, and all of a sudden, you've got new value options that are popping up just from that game. That could happen in anywhere. And I'm not saying that you're you got to try to plan for that. But if one guy that's the 7th guy on the team is picking up a little bit more ownership, maybe just grab a different 7th guy from a different team or the 8th guy from the same team. You can really make easy pivots in those ranges.
Yeah. And like you said, everything's amplified, everything's magnified. The whole 1 out of 10, like a 10% probability, a 10% probability in the regular season on a 10-game slate. It's like, okay, I want nothing to do with that in many cases. But in a spot like this, you have a 10-15% chance of something happening and still no one's getting there. It is amplified, like you said. So, it's all worth considering. And that's why the Dedmon play earlier in the week. And he's just one of many examples over the last week or so that we've had playoff games, maybe 10 days, that we've seen. Austin Rivers being another one. Just a lot of examples of players having big games and going entirely unnoticed. Tyrese Maxey yesterday had another solid outing.
Robin Lopez yesterday.
Robin Lopez is a perfect. Yeah, I found it funny too. Everyone's like, what the hell is Scott Brooks doing? Because I said Scott Brooks has now played his 3rd center less than 6 minutes into the game. And they're like, oh, what an idiot. No one's realizing that Embiid, before he got hurt, got all of the other ones in foul trouble.
Yeah. Look, we talked about it on Live Before Lock. The moment Alex Len came out of that lineup, it was plausible that Alex Len was not going to see the floor and that they were going to end up chopping those minutes differently. That was all on the table. We've seen it happen previously where they took Alex Len out of the starting lineup and he wasn't getting back out there. Now, you don't expect Robin Lopez to go out and go 6 for 8 and making jump hook after jump hook and all that other nonsense that he does. But that was not a surprising thing to do. That was not a surprising play to make the moment, Gafford's starting to take the other center. That's the pay down option. Like it's in you never care about that. If this is an 8-game regular season slate, you're just not playing those kind of guys. But now where every one of those pivots matter in such a big way, the moment that we tell you that Daniel Gafford is going to be owned more than 18%, you should listen to us. He was 40% owned. Like at the moment you know that, it's like, okay, well, if something happens to Gafford, there is a direct benefit here at the flat minimum. Just if you're playing 150 lineups, that's your path. If you're playing a 1 lineup guy, you're never getting to Robin Lopez.
Yep. Oh yeah, no chance. Anything else for the Nuggets?
No, I think I hit on everybody. Just FanDuel, a lot of Gordon, a lot of Porter.
All right. You guys hear us talk about ownership projections all the time. You hear us talk about player projections and everything that we have, the top stack tool, the boom or bust tool with the optimal lineup percentage and boom and bust probability, all of these things that, like I hear Steve Buzzard, the Colts, who's always up top in tournaments for multiple sports every week. He's humble. He probably wouldn't even like me saying that. But when he goes in our premium Slack chat in the office hours and answers questions and help people, refine and better their game, sometimes you'll come across it, you look in there and they'll ask him like, so what is it that you use for basketball? And he goes, other than ownership, the boom bust tool is, which has ownership in it. He's like, that is for me, the biggest thing, having the optimal lineup probability, having the boom and bust percentage. You ask people that win a lot of money, the pros at Awesemo, what about baseball? Well, the top stacks tool is huge, where Josh, you're getting the leverage scores on it. You're getting ownership along with the top value with the top stack probability, like so many different tools that before I came to Awesemo, I never would have thought of, and have totally reinvented the way that people play DFS. It is kind of cool to have those tools that weren't there, but are at Awesemo and have been at Awesemo.
I love it. The boom bust tool in particular, top stacks for baseball, those sorts of tools are changing everything that we're doing right now. And it's that sort of advanced data is the next step. If you're not looking at it, you're getting left behind.
No question. So if you want to check it out, go to awesemo.com/join. No pressure, obviously, but you can do a weekly express pass for less than $5 a week. If you want to do a single sport weekly or monthly or annually, you can do that too. You can do all sports, Awesemo plus platinum, everything we've got. And then the Fantasy Cruncher add-on, which is so huge. You have the lineup builder that we built for, single entry, 3 max, 5 entry, whatever it is. But the Fantasy Cruncher add-on, whether you're playing, it doesn't matter. I've seen people using it for the nickel, the quarters, for the big contest. It doesn't matter. It's a phenomenal tool. And probably the biggest companion piece for all of the tools that we have. So go to awesemo.com/join to check everything out. And if you're just in the game, maybe trying to win something, but you're not in the position yet to pay for a subscription, all you got to do is use that Awesemo avatar at awesemo.com/avatar. Plug that avatar in as yours on DraftKings Fanduel, wherever it is, Yahoo, No House Advantage. If you place top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, no matter what the entry fee is, again, could be a nickel or a dime, and tweet at Awesemo, HOF, at Awesemo Hall of Fame, include Josh and myself in there as well. You'll get a free monthly Awesemo plus platinum, everything included. It's $100 value. So that's one very simple way to put yourself in a solid position too. Go to awesemo.com/avatar. Check that out. All right. Well, you said Lakers Phoenix is where fantasy points go to die. The Phoenix Suns are laying 5 points at home. Anthony Davis, you and I both don't expect him to play, although I believe he's officially listed as questionable.
Correct. So is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Right. So they're 5-point dogs, 2-0, a super low total compared to the other ones. Just give me the rundown on how Anthony Davis's expected absence affects this from a DFS perspective.
So it's kind of crazy. Like, there's not really a giant impact to individual player rates, other than LeBron is clearly going to get a little bit more usage than normal. But it's figuring out where the minutes go. And I'm not entirely sure that's an easy thing to do. Do they go to additional Montrezl Harrell minutes to try to get a spark offensively in a relatively slow down series? Does Markieff Morris become the guy that picks up a ton of additional run coming from Anthony Davis's minutes? How much additional time on the floor does Kyle Kuzma get? KCP being back would be great. What if he is not back? That creates some additional value. There are a lot of question marks in this game, and I don't know if we have the answers to this prior to the 7:30 lock. So here's what I've got going on for right now. I expect most of the center minutes to go to Andre Drummond and Marc Gasol. It's possible we see Montrezl Harrell get a rotation. I don't think it'd be crazy to see him get 2 or 3 if his offense becomes paramount. He could also just as easily not see the floor. I assume Markieff Morris picks up enough run somewhere in the 16 to 22 minute range. He's the flat minimum on DraftKings right there. Flat minimum 3K Markieff Morris projected for 6% ownership. Play him before you play JaMychal Green. That's, to me, that's just a very obvious spot to go to if you want to try to be a little bit more different in large field GPPs. And then Kyle Kuzma at 4,300 on FanDuel. He's 4,600 on DraftKings. I wouldn't be shocked if he ended up seeing 30 minutes today. I only gave him 27. Doesn't have to go that direction, but I could see him picking up a bunch of the run as well. It's a really tricky spot because LA is so big that they can kind of go small or big depending on what they really need to do against Phoenix.
Do you think Drummond gets more minutes without Davis on the floor?
Not really. I left him in for 22 today. Obviously possible. He's 7K on FanDuel, and so, you know,
but 52 on DraftKings seems pretty discounted in my opinion.
At 22 minutes, I have Andre Drummond as the best play on the Lakers on DraftKings.
Okay, so we're on the same page there. Listen, without Anthony Davis, he's played 250 minutes without Anthony Davis. He has a 27% usage rate. Granted, some of this is with LeBron off as well, but the rebounding rate is 25%, 1.3 DraftKings points per minute. So for someone like Drummond, it's actually gets not nearly enough credit for his blocks and steals game. I mean, he averages 2.5 stocks per game this season, is at least a capable enough passer, but you don't see that very much in LA anymore. Saw it a ton in Detroit, and is a good rebounder. Could he give you a sizable double-double in 22 minutes? I think he absolutely could. So 5,200 seems like a good price.
Absolutely. You don't need, like, he can just play his normal run, and I still think that price works.
Yeah.
And if he falls into 28 minutes, then he's a necessity.
28 minutes from Drummond, you're going to be really upset if you don't have it.
100%. 15% ownership at 5,200. I don't get it already.
And it's not like they're going up against a super small ball team in the Phoenix Suns. If DeAndre Ayton's playing another 40 minutes, he is a above average rebounder for sure. And they will get beat up on the glass if they don't have somebody out there combating him with Davis expected to sit. So yeah, it's a good spot. What about Phoenix starting in the front court with DeAndre Ayton?
Oh, this Phoenix team, man. I don't know what I want to happen here, because I wish Phoenix could succeed, but I don't want them to succeed over the Lakers. That's what's tricky. Starting with Ayton. So Ayton's 7,800 on FanDuel, 7,400 on DraftKings. I think he's about properly owned. The price has gotten to a point where it should be, as far as I'm concerned. I like him a little bit more than the 21% ownership that we have. He's been at basically a fantasy point per minute as of late, as is most of this team at this rate. So I see Ayton, Paul, Bridges, all super similar. The guy that I like the most in this game, it's actually a FanDuel play. Devin Booker's 7,500. He's going to play 40 minutes at a fantasy point per minute. He's projected for 43% ownership, so I'm not like cracking the code or anything here, but I think that's even low. To me, Devin Booker is the best play on FanDuel. Like of anything.
Of anyone on the slate.
Yeah.
Okay. James Curry says Drummond didn't get minutes on Sunday. Gasol did. Well, Drummond basically played close to the average on the series outside of that one outlier game where he played 24 minutes. He said, and he played good. Why would they play Drummond? Well, I'll let you answer this. It's not to say that Marc Gasol, can't have a decent game. He played 20, 17, and 23 minutes in the 3 games in this series that he's played. And last game was an outlier performance in terms of fantasy point per minute production. But because Drummond is not expensive either. They're not mutually exclusive here. I wouldn't play them together necessarily, but what do you say?
Well, you got to play 48 minutes at center, and they're not going to play Marc Gasol 48 minutes at center. They're going to largely split the center time, potentially a little bit of an additional run going to either Markieff Morris or Montrezl Harrell. But yeah, like it's not why would they play Drummond? Because they have to. They got to play centers. They got to play some centers.
Harrell has played 15 and 5 minutes. He's seen the floor in 2 games. He's seen 5 minutes over their last 3 games. And, that's very telling. He saw 5 minutes in a game that lost Anthony Davis for a considerable period of time. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Drummond and Gasol play 24 each.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me in the slightest. I think like 22 apiece is a potential likely scenario where with Markieff Morris playing at the 5 in the minutes that DeAndre Ayton isn't on the floor. But at the same time, like if Ayton's not on the floor, that's when I would want to try to go to Harrell and see if I can get that kind of offense.
Anything else for the Suns before we wrap this up?
No, like I said, Ayton, Bridges, Paul, Crowder, to me, all either properly owned or right around where they should be. There's no way that I'm getting to someone like Cam Payne on FanDuel at 5,900 or 5,400 on DraftKings. Cam Johnson probably worth like a minor flyer at 3,300 on DK, but again, he's already at 10% ownership. There are a lot of potential sub 4K guys on this slate today. I would largely be avoiding the ones that are picking up the most ownership.
All right. Well, man, that'll do it for us. About an hour here. Fun show as always. And we are thankful to all of you for hanging out. Almost at that 150 mark, 16 away. Hammer that before you go. We got north of 500 watching right now on a 3-game basketball slate on a Tuesday. So I'd say pretty good. And I'd say there's still a lot of interest in NBA.
I love seeing it, but it makes me happy just because I want to keep doing basketball content as long as we can. So if you guys keep coming back, we'll keep turning it out.
Yeah. The more that as you guys keep watching, that means we stay on basketball. The moment the interest starts to wane, we don't. But I think basketball is just more fun to talk about. It's more fun to play, but baseball can be lucrative too. And we got an awesome team putting in the work right now. If you're checking out or if you're looking to get into MLB, baseball, DFS, or you've already been playing but haven't been watching the strategy show, flip right over once we get off. You've got that going on right now. Just got started. It's Greg and it's Pete McCarthy. They're going to take you up till 12 for today's. I'm assuming it's Tuesday, so it's got to be a monster slate once again. And we talked about all of the content we have on the site. Premium content we rotate through, and we'll put some of it free every day so you can get a look behind the paywall without having to do anything or even sign up. NBA Big Board, MLB player projections, PJ Top Golfers Tour, and the NHL player rankings, all of them free today. Final thoughts before we close the door on this one, Josh?
Play a lot of the Denver-Portland game. Be ready for weird shenanigans from the Lakers.
I think so too. And Bondorifico DFS says, hey Josh, when you have a sneeze and it won't come out, look at a bright light. Were you trying to work a sneeze out there on the stream?
Maybe during the process show. Not today. Not during this strategy show.
The bright light works if it's the sun. You know. Oh yeah. Wait, you didn't know that?
No.
If you have to sneeze and it's not coming out, even if you don't, if you look at the sun, that fucker's going to rocket out of there.
I don't believe in any of this.
Are you serious? Go give it a shot. We'll discuss this on tomorrow's.
You think I'm going to go outside just staring at the sun like an idiot? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, don't look too long.
No, I'm good.
We'll see you guys back here
I'll
tomorrow.
just sneeze, man, or just not sneeze. Like I'm going to be all right.
There's like super dark glasses on because he's burned the shit out of his retinas. I sneezed though. Later, guys. Thanks for watching.
Later, everybody.